Wow, look at that. So stark, but so beautiful. It's quiet, majestic, grand. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back in the California desert. Once again, I have returned to Red Rock Canyon State Park. It's about a 3-hour drive north from Disneyland to this point in the desert. Funny enough, speaking of Disneyland, that's part of my motivation for being in the desert today. Because you see this? I wear this shirt all the time. And often when I go through Disneyland security, the security guards are giving me a hard time like, hey bro, wrong park, huh? Wrong park. Hey, it's not my fault I love Jurassic Park. That movie came out when I was about 10 years old and blew my mind. It was a craze, a mania in fact. A Jurassic-sized hit, if you will. I've always wanted to visit the filming locations for that movie. Unfortunately, the majority of the outdoor stuff was shot in Hawaii, places that I don't have a lot of easy access to. But a few weeks ago when I was out here exploring the filming locations for Boris Karloff's The Mummy, I realized not all of Jurassic Park's filming locations are in Hawaii. And so my friends, I've come back to Red Rock Canyon and very specifically chosen to wear this t-shirt because today we're going to Jurassic Park. Wait. Hold on with the music there. We should probably be more specific. We are going to one of the California filming locations of Jurassic Park. Okay. The area we're exploring today is a little bit off the beaten path in Red Rock Canyon State Park. On most maps, this valley over here is just referred to as the area with the scenic cliffs. It takes a pretty good distance of hiking to get yourself out here. But I gotta be honest with you guys, as much as I would love to hike somewhere rugged and adventurous for you, I got here the easier and much more practical way of using a 4-wheel drive vehicle driven by my brother, which is only like a 5-minute trip from the main road, so a lot better. This is a very beautiful place where the El Paso Mountains are meeting up with the Sierra Nevadas. There's all kinds of interesting geological stuff going on. It's worth a visit no matter what you're into, but come on, a filming location for Jurassic Park? The original Jurassic Park? Say what you want about any of the sequels, but the original Jurassic Park movie was in a league all of its own. When the movie opens, first you've got that scene where the Raptor escapes and mauls some people, sets up the danger. Then you have the scene that shows them digging out the amber with the mosquitoes in it, kind of setting up the plot. But the next scene, the one that introduces our main protagonist, happens right out here in the California desert. Right on this sort of island-like hill here in between these scenic cliffs. This was the site of the paleontological dig, the dinosaur dig, which according to the movie is happening in Montana. But hey, when you have this area right here 3 hours away from the movie studio, you might as well just film here, am I right? Now if you remember the movie, you'll remember that this next shot, this whole next scene opens up on the bones of a velociraptor being carefully dug out of the ground by a bunch of students. It says, Badlands, near Snakewater, Montana. And then the very next shot we get is a wide shot of the whole dig site from right up on top of this hill. Here's the view from up on top of the hill today, and here it is back in 1993 in the movie Jurassic Park. This is the kind of stuff that totally blows my mind, how unbelievably little this scenery has changed. That's incredible. Okay, look back at the shot from the movie. You can see the main tent covering the computer. The Raptor dig area is off to the right. You can see the trailer put there for the paleontologist to hang out in. It was all right here in this little valley. Now, as you can see, it's pretty close and gives you kind of some idea that we're in the right spot where Steven Spielberg was all set up for Jurassic Park. Anyway, this is where we see that guy walking up the hill, kind of where Jurassic Seth is right now. And then we see Dr. Alan Grant pop up into frame. As you can see, the mountains behind Dr. Grant and Dr. Sattler line up perfectly with where we are standing now. It's honestly pretty amazing. We're standing where they filmed Jurassic Park, Jurassic Seth. All right, so Dr. Grant and Dr. Sattler, played by Sam Neil and Laura Dern, head down the hill here, which is actually very recognizable. If you come out here, you really got to look for this hill, and all the rest of the dig site is all kind of laid out on this island surrounded by little washes. Kind of interesting since Jurassic Park is on an island. No, anyway, Dr. Grant and Dr. Sattler come down here, and the next shot we see is of some assistants loading a shotgun shell into some kind of contraption, which is going to send sound waves into the ground. And by sort of lining up the foreground hills with the mountains behind, we can kind of figure out that this is the exact spot where they had their crazy contraption set up that fired sound waves into the ground to give them a computer image of a velociraptor. After they fire the crazy contraption into the ground, the camera kind of zooms out into the control tent. Now, for our purposes today, we've just set up a plain and simple easy up out here. It's a little smaller than what they would have had in the movie, but this is roughly where they would have had that whole computer set up, getting the image of the velociraptor under the ground, and the technician sitting over here saying, in a couple of years, we won't even have to dig anymore. Now, of course, Dr. Grant says, well, where's the fun in that? That he's touching the computer and it's getting all staticky, you know, and Dr. Sattler says, Dr. Grant's not machine compatible. I know the feeling. Now, most of those shots are kind of from low angle where you basically only see the roof of the tent or some of the people that are gathered around inside the tent. But there are a few shots where you can see the background. Pulling away from the shotgun shell machine, we see Dr. Grant looking at the computer monitor. He's leaned up against one of the poles holding up the structure. He's kind of coming over to lean and look at the machine skeptically. Dr. Grant likes to dig, you know. And as he leans forward to peer at the monitor, we get a quick shot of the hills behind him, which still line up to this very day. I should say that all the tent shots are really confusing, and standing out here, we figured out that they must have moved that tent structure quite a bit for different shots, which is absolutely driving my brother Jurassic Seth crazy over here because he is a perfectionist. But basically, when the camera's looking at Dr. Grant, this is more or less the background we see, the hills behind me now. The computer's set up in here, there's people all gathered around, and he says, it's a wonder these guys didn't learn to fly. Of course, everyone laughs because crazy Dr. Grant thinks dinosaurs turned into birds, right? And when he turns around to defend himself from the laughter, there's one quick shot where we can kind of see this rock formation in the background. Again, mostly all just little quick glimpses from underneath the tent. Then Dr. Grant starts defending his crazy theory, you know, look at the pubic bone, turn backward, just like a bird. Look at the vertebrae, air sacs in the hollows, just like a bird, and even the word raptor means bird of prey. All that would be right here under the tent. Dr. Grant looking very excited. He's proving his theory when all of a sudden we hear, that doesn't look very scary. We once again see this formation behind Dr. Grant as he turns, and then the crowd parts to reveal his awfully short critic. This is the exact spot where that kid was standing when he says, more like a 6-foot turkey. The hills have eroded somewhat. The lighting out here is a little different than it was in the movie, but this is the spot. Of course, Dr. Grant, no likey this talk turkey. He's got his hands on his hips. He's super frustrated. But by the way, this is a great shot for us because we can see that road cut in the back up the hill, so we know we're in the right spot for the Jurassic Park camp. You know, that's kind of how you get your bearings out here. Anyway, Dr. Grant's got his hands on his hips. Turkey, huh? Imagine yourself in the Cretaceous period. You get your first look at this 6-foot turkey as you enter a clearing. You hold still, blah, blah, blah. He moves around, blah, blah, blah. Dr. Grant's giving him the speech. And for most of that time, over the kid's shoulder, behind his head, we could see this mountain range as we're seeing his exasperated face like, there was a much clearer path along this area here. You could still sort of see the faint remnants of it today. And of course, the hills in the background still match up as well. Dr. Grant circling behind the kid, giving him the lecture. And we actually get a pretty darn good shot of this scenic cliff area back here in one of the shots where you could see both of them as he's talking. Dr. Grant is still doing his best to traumatize his young critic, telling him that the velociraptor is not going to kill him like a lion around the jugular. He's gonna slash you here, or maybe here. I never noticed in the movie, but he's slashing below the belt right there. It's a little awkward. Wow. And then last but not least, he says, or maybe across the belly. That shot was filmed right around in here. Sort of the same lineup, fading in and out, sort of still matches. But the point is, like he tells the kid, you are very much alive when they begin to eat you. So, try to show a little respect. Okay. Now you can tell all of this pretty much goes down with this in the background one way, and like I said, this in the background the other way, behind the kid's head. All sort of right down in this area. The one interesting thing though is in that shot of the kid, you really get a sense of where the raptor was set up at the beginning, the bones. Because as they're looking this way at that giant rock formation in the background, you can sort of see the raptor down here being worked on. It's also possible to see it in that shot from the top of the hill, you know. It's obviously a prop raptor. They kind of brought like a sandbox out here and buried it in the ground a little bit. They have that tarp around the edge and stuff. But still, pretty darn cool to know that roughly over here somewhere was the raptor that they had already partially uncovered. And then just a few feet away was that contraption where they shot the sound waves to uncover another buried raptor. It's just pretty cool. I just love that there's so many shots and so many little setups all right here in this one tiny little area. Ooh, the shadows are getting long out here in the Badlands of Montana, so we better hurry up. The next shot shows Dr. Grant and Dr. Sattler heading back up this steep hill. The camera is placed way up at the top, way up where Seth's going. Ellie, which is Dr. Sattler, is telling him, if you wanted to scare that kid, you could have just pulled a gun on him. To which Dr. Grant is saying, I don't like kids. He's going, what's so wrong with kids? He goes, look, Ellie, they're noisy, they're messy, they're expensive, they smell. Some of them smell, babies smell. And all of that is sort of filmed very zoomed in from the top of the hill, which you can tell by some of the dirt sort of cutting off the bottom of their legs in the shot. Anyway, right when he says, baby smell, that's when things get crazy, because all of a sudden we see a helicopter coming. Dr. Grant, Dr. Sattler start barreling down the hill. Cover the equipment, cover the equipment. Which, by the way, looks very easy in the movie, but running down that steep hill in real life, woo! They must have had some dang sore knees at the end of that shoot. Anyway, we see the helicopter coming in for a landing. All of a sudden, we see the sand blowing back over the velociraptor bones. They're all trying to frantically cover them up with tarps. Then we get a quick shot of the helicopter coming in for a landing with some people running away in the foreground. That all lines up right at the base of this sort of island. So to put this all in perspective, there's the hill up there. You have the little tent here. The velociraptor bones would be right behind it. Over there where that red bag is on the ground, that is where they shot the little machine into the ground. And then the helicopter would be all the way here, just on the tip of the land before going down into the gullies on either side, which is honestly the most flat and the most open area down here where a helicopter could land. And we get a great shot of Dr. Grant running across the entire dig site, running straight up to the helicopter and waving his arms, kill it, cut it, stop, knock it off. And the helicopter pilot's telling him, over there, don't mess with me, go talk to the boss. And in the next shot, we have Dr. Grant running down this small embankment across the gully towards the big trailer setup. It's kind of hard to tell now, but if you look very carefully, you will see the faint remains of the road that goes up to the top of the hill, coming down here, splitting off down into the gully, and then all the way across the other side. That's because back in the day, they used to let off-road vehicles come through here, going up the hills, blazing all these trails. They've slowly been recovering over the years, but if you look carefully, you'll still see a lot of those little roads out here. Anyway, from the helicopter and the dig site, we see Dr. Grant running down the hill here across the little wash, which is obviously a lot rockier right now than when he was doing it, and a lot windier. Look, we've lost our tent. Great Scott, we've got a tent down. Now that's chaos theory. So anyway, Dr. Grant runs gazelle-like over all the obstacles through the wash and then down to the paleontologist's trailer, where he enters the trailer and meets none other than John Hammond himself, the man who spared no expense. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of rubble, some very large, half the size of a Hyundai-sized boulders down here. If we go back and compare the wash of today with the wash, as you can see in Jurassic Park, it was a lot flatter, a lot more calm, a lot more realistic to believe they got a trailer down here. You can just sort of make out that little roadway Dr. Grant would have ran down to get down in the gully. The trailer would have been down here in the wash, and that, I suspect, is the roadway they got the trailer down here with. Obviously, the inside shots of that trailer were not shot out here, but probably on a soundstage back in Hollywood. The reason I say that being, if you look at the outside of the trailer in the movie, very small. You look at the inside in the movie, plenty of elbow room. Little Hollywood trickery going on there. But basically, that trailer and the pickup truck and all the stuff in that setup, the clothesline, would have all been down here. Now, this is pretty darn crazy. Like I said, ever since I was 10, 11 years old, I have loved the movie Jurassic Park. Kind of amazing to think that this is where Dr. Grant's last dig was before he met John Hammond, and was invited to preview a little attraction Mr. Hammond had planned out on an island. Pretty darn cool, and we got it all squeezed in right before sunset. Now, like I said, I love me some Jurassic Park, so someday it's totally one of my goals to see all the filming locations over in Hawaii, all the crazy spots. But for now, I think it's pretty cool to see any spot from Jurassic Park at all. Anyway, I guess that's about it. Now, if I could only figure out where my brother went. What the heck is that? Oh my gosh! Seth! I don't see him anywhere. Where could he possibly have gone? Oh my gosh! Velociraptor! Bad dinosaur! Bad dinosaur! Oh, Dr. Grant tried to warn me about this! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! My brother got killed by a velociraptor! Yeah, gotta make it to the car! Oh! Why is he stopping? Julio! It's Julio! Julio's defeating the raptor! Oh my gosh! Be careful, Julio! They're having a face-off! Dinosaur versus chicken! Who will win? I can't look! Julio's about to say something! That's right! You better run, you raptor! Julio! Oh man, buddy, you saved me! That was incredible. I just have one question, Julio. How does a bird defeat a dinosaur? What's that? You're right. Birds are dinosaurs. All right, gang. Well, as you can see, the sun has already set. Soon we will run out of beautiful twilight. I've already lost one brother to velociraptors. It's probably best if we get out of here before any more come out of the woodwork. I hope you enjoyed this little visit to some Jurassic Park filming locations in Southern California. Just make sure to check out all the links down below for how you can fund the show, help us not to go extinct, t-shirts, hats, all that good stuff, other video adventures to watch, and you'll have done your duty. Now, before we get any more dinosaurs coming along out here, let's get in the car, go home, and sleep well. Watch as I sink into the earth, Jurassic style. I'm becoming fossilized. Okay. And then just a few feet away was where that contraption was that shot the shotgun, Dell. Dell? Anyway, we see the helicopter coming in for a landing. All of a sudden we see dirt blowing all over the domes. What?
Help!
What's wrong?
It's not inflating.
What?
I don't know. Unzip me.
What? Hello? How you doing? You're okay. See you later, Mr. Raptor.
Oh my goodness, I'm gonna die.
Gonna die? Mr. Raptor, you've been dead for millions of years. Millions of years.
Help, please.
Huh?
Help.
What?
I can't breathe.
Oh, you mean soon you'll be extinct? Good jokes. Bad brothership, though. I better let him out now. No joke. The zipper to this thing got stuck. Oh, Seth!
Oh my gosh.
You're saved!
Oh my gosh.
I thought that thing was gonna digest you! Wow!
Like that scene from, what is it?
Ace Ventura?
Ace Ventura.
Yeah. You're being born.
I've done my duty. Now it's time to go home and sleep well.
How much was that?
$60.
60 bucks, and you had to cut it with a knife.
With a key.
But the experience, priceless.